Well, first of all, let me say that the Reform Party conference looks like something from America. It doesn't look like there's only 4 MPs serving in Parliament. It looks like they're the main party. Well, actually, we know they are. Nobody in the media's taking any notice of what Kemi Badenoch's got to say, and generally it's clinging on to fame like a starlet in the studios of MGM or Warner Brothers, who's too old for the bloody casting couch. I'm sorry, I mean, you're probably a nice enough bloke, Robert, but, pack it up. You don't need to keep making films. I mean, we are a bit sick of it, you go into like role model things, don't you, climbing up ladders and that. I just have visions of him stood there at home, practising it mirror. Hi, my name's Robert. Hi, my name's Robert. Maybe my name's Robert. Just get your bloody phone out, lad, and get it said. You can say it at your desk, you don't need a sodding film crew. Anyway, that's me rant over, generic over. But the good thing is about the Reform Party conference, a young man, it's called George Finch, he's the leader of Warwickshire Council. I sent him off the deep end because he was only 19. And I mean, at first I thought, oh, hell. But when you listen to the lad's common sense, you'd think you were talking to a 35-year-old bloke. He's so responsible, it's untrue. He's a breath of fresh air. And he started at the bottom. He went to a reform gathering, heard Lee Anderson speaking, Working Class Lee, and he felt inspired by him because he thought there was no hope in his area around Nuneaton for young people to move forward unless they got education, and the education system doesn't put you out into a field where there's enough jobs. Where are the plumbers? Where are the engineers? Where are the joiners? Where are the builders? They're not about. So he was interviewed, and he had a side event called The Lost Boys at the conference yesterday, talking about young people in the future in Britain. I'll give you some snippets of what he said. He said, the education system is broken and I'm probably one of the closest ones to being of school age. It's a joke, a complete joke at sixth form. You're supposed to develop your skills from learning from your GCSEs, but you don't develop anything. The only thing you develop is a woke mindset. You're not allowed to question what's going on, and you're not allowed to question the way you think. You're just told to think a certain way. In our political classes, it was why I was always asked, and it was why we're simple, why we're so accepting. Speaking at the event titled The Lost Boys, a response to the crisis facing young men, Mr Finch said, Reform UK MP Lee Anderson visited Nuneaton just before the 24 general election, and I stood up and asked him what is Reform going to do about this wave of wokeism that's washing across our education system. And Reform policy on that opened my eyes. So I joined the next day, and then I gradually built through, grew my research and became a councillor. And next I was the council leader. Way to go, lad. He said he felt there was a brain drain from small towns like Bedworth and Nuneaton in his Warwickshire patch, and called for more practical teachings in engineering, design and technology. He spoke about his father, who was a carpenter but became ill with sepsis, so he had to stay at home and look after the kids while his mum went out to work. I've got to say, reading what he's put, it just fills my heart with hope. I got a message from a woman who'd been to the conference. They bought tickets, it was about 50 quid a piece. And she was particularly depressed just after lockdown, right? Bad. And I messaged her a few times, that's how I got to know her. And her husband was worse than her. Anyway, they joined Reform. They thought, the history of understanding what Nigel Farage is about. When he came back into politics, they joined Reform and voted for him. And obviously the party got 5 seats, now down to 4, I think. She sent me a message. She said, June, for the first time since before lockdown, I felt like we got hope. I felt like we could do something, we could go somewhere. She said the amount of business people at this conference that were there as supporters, as members of the party, was off the scale. Young people there. She said there was a buzz about the place. There was an entertainment factor, just like the Americans do, so that you don't get bored, because let's face it, it's a bit of a dry topic, isn't it, talking about politics. I mean, look at some of the stooges we have to look at. Lammy, Miliband, Angela Rayner, but not for long. They're not exciting people, are they? I mean, come on. Surely we can have better than that in our politics. Dave said to me one thing about it: reform have got up best birds. That piercing insight from Dave. Don't you get me wrong, that lad knows what's going on in the world. He taught me a thing or two. It was me that were asleep, not Dave. But it's right. You look at Sarah Pochin and you look at I can never get her name out, Lania from London, and then you look at Andrea Jenkins, and you look at all the other people that are tagging on to reform. There's an excitement about them. There's there's like a get it done vibe about the whole damn party. And instead of people thinking that, I just don't understand how people cannot see the blindingly obvious that this is the only thing that's got any infrastructure. It's not about favouritism. It's about what will bloody work. What's going to work? Well, your other people that are grandstanding on social media, they're not going to work. One's a one-man band and one hasn't got out starting blocks yet and wants your money before he puts his own in. Oh, yeah. Anyway, don't let me get going on that. At the end of the day, it's a success, is this conference. God only knows what Starmer must be thinking. Because if this is it now, 4 years away from an election, with only a handful of MPs, what's it going to be like by the time we get there? The only thing we have to watch with him is causing something more serious to avoid the election, because all these globalists are tanking support. I'm often uncomfortable calling them elite, and a woman called them the ruling class. It used to be landed gentry, but it's not anymore. Just anybody that's got into corporate wealth. They're the ruling class. Your bankers, your Larry Finch, your Bill Gates, they're the ruling class now. And they're the ones that have the money and lobbyists to affect government. Capitalists don't have that. I'm a capitalist. I haven't got any clout to affect government. Your restaurateur, your builder, your one-man band, your self-employed taxi driver, they're all capitalists. We don't have any clout, but corporatists do. And that's where it's going, big government and corporatists. It's like a cohesion of like-minded interest, big, big, big. And so you get less the further down the food chain you are. And if anybody wants to know what the future's going to be like, have you ever tried complaining to Facebook about anything? Well, that'll be your entire life. That will be your entire life, especially if digital ID comes in. You will have absolutely no say over anything, bringing your kids up, how much money you earn, what you can spend it on, where you live, how you live, who your friends are. It's going to go, it's going to disappear. So you need to get savvy and get with the programme and understand what I'm trying to do here. I am not trying to do this with financial gain. I am not trying to do this because I want to end up some TV commentator or a politician. I'd hate to be a politician. I'm doing this because we need to wake up and understand that we do have the opportunity of a future and we have to seize it with both hands. And I say this as a neutral voice. And even though I was invited down to the conference as a non-member, I didn't go because I can do more here. I can crack a couple of videos off, I can answer a pile of messages, I can see what's going on in WhatsApp and keep up to date with everything. I would have done it in a heartbeat if I thought it would be more productive than what I'm doing now. I'm not after any fame or glory, and don't need to suck up to folk. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in trying to make a difference. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. If you think an independent MP who hasn't even joined his bloody mate yet, there's been a pincer movement on reform, whether you like it or not. There's been one at this end and one at that end. Oh, yak, 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 yak. Have they come together? Have they hell? One's doing one thing, one's doing another. And the only time that'll go to that is when the Tories reject him. Because all they'll use this one to damage reform. That's the only use he is to him. Because the Tories will not change. And while Jenrick wears that badge, he is not a genuine small c conservative. He's putting party before country. It's that simple. Gove were there, wasn't he? At the conference. Thankfully, only there as the editor of The Spectator, which is basically a Tory publication, isn't it? Nadine Dorris. She's crossed. Tiff likes her. You're not telling me that some civil servant didn't work on her to say, oh yeah, get this online harms bill passed, Nadine. Oh, it's dangerous for kids. Is it? She writes children's books, doesn't she? Oh, away with the fairies. She's probably been sucked up with that, hasn't she? Because it's all about their advisors. Nice thing is, she'll be getting brought right up to speed with his ear. He won't let her carry on thinking that were a good idea. Oh, no, 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 no. You can come across, but you have to learn our ways. She's emigrating to reform. So you have to fit in, learn the language, and it's the language of bloody freedom. It's not the language of more control, Nadine. So you're going to have to get with the programme, sure she will, because nowhere else to go, is she? I like the way they introduced her at the conference as being somebody who'd been on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Still, I suppose it's better than being introduced as a Tory whistleblower. But I think that's a much more favourable title. So everything was upbeat, everything was going well. I'm made up with it. I'm made up with how all lefties are slagging it off. Oh, what do they think they are? Do they think they're entertainment? You're saying that to me, and you've got a bloody, what is he? A claptrap minister, Ed Miliband, doing videos, playing ukuleles, and you've got Ed Davies sliding down a water slide in a wetsuit. He hasn't got the balls to go in his trunks. Wet fart. So that's how I see politics, and I'm feeling quite upbeat about it because I do think we've got a chance here, and I'm going to take it with both hands.